Hello folks, welcome back to the channel. What you're staring at right now is the default King Air 350i, but not as you know it. In fact, it's not default at all anymore, only with external textures, and that is where it stops, because not only have Black Square worked their magic with this beautiful facelift, it goes far beyond just the aesthetics. They have modelled custom-coded electrical systems, a fully 3D cockpit lighting technology for every single gauge and panel, but also reworked turbine dynamics. That means the engine will fail if you don't start her up and look after her correctly. I love that. Not to mention there's simulated passenger and crew oxygen system and dozens of checklists for hung starts, hot starts, and selective state-saving features. There's also, if I haven't mentioned it already, the electrical system includes over 200 different fuses, and the instruments, which you can see here, are all 4K and react to the physical environment and the engine vibration. Wow. All this for about 28 quid. Now, let me just get this out the window straight away, because people are going to get confused here and think, why would I spend £28 on an aircraft that basically is the default King Air 350? It is not the default King Air 350i anymore, folks. The only thing that is the same is the external model, which I think looks beautiful anyway. If you would buy an add-on, and this is important to understand this, if you bought an add-on that's completely reworked, even the external model, with these sort of features and detail, dare I say study level detail, you're looking at basically an A2A King Air. It would be £60–70. So keep that in mind. It's what's under the hood, all those systems and coding and failure modeling and the consequences to your actions. It's really what counts for me the most when I'm flying, making sure that all your T's and P's are in working order, because when you get to your destination and you land safely, the reward factor is huge. It really is. And if that's the kind of thing that interests you, then this is an add-on that you will love. Right, anyway, let's now go for an actual flight, okay? We're going to head from Liverpool, and the weather's a bit dodgy today. We're going to track over to Pole, which is a VOR, and then over to Leeds, Bradford, and depending on the weather there, we'll either do an ILS approach, or we'll go straight in for a visual. And we're going to go through the checklist, folks, and do everything, well, most things by the book, okay? And what I mean by that is it's going to take me hours, weeks, even months, maybe even years to understand this aircraft, its idiosyncrasies, and its funny little behaviours that make it feel alive. Anyway, enough chatting for now. Let's crack on with the checklist system, which, as you can see here, is incredibly detailed. Look at this. Wowzers. We're not going to go through the entire checklist, because this video would be about 2 days long, admittedly. But we're just going to go through the main sort of features, and we're going to try our hand at flying this all the way from Liverpool to Leeds, Bradford. Right, I'll try and go through this as fast as I possibly can. Pre-flight inspection has been complete. Emergency lights do not need to be on because it's not night. The doors are locked. Emergency exits are unlocked. Cabin loading has definitely been completed. We're not going to take in many people today, just a few VIPs, VR Flight Sim Guy passengers. Seatbelts and harnesses are secure. See, some of this stuff, it's nice to go through it, but this is essential because these sorts of things, because it has state saving, if you leave the aircraft, say, with the taxi lights on or your inverter on or something like that, which would be very bad, then when you go to check all of your pre-flight and everything, you will notice that these things are not in the correct position. Like, for instance, my prop lever and condition lever should definitely be fully back, like that. All these circuit breakers are in. Did I say that all the circuit breakers work? All 200 of them. Amazing. Gang bar is down. We don't need external power today. Avionics is off. Auto ignition is off. Inverters are off. The sense is definitely to norm. Engine anti-ice. Let's actually check that, because my last flight was very interesting indeed, which I wish I recorded now, but that is definitely off. So this is why you need to do this. Landing gear is most definitely down. Exterior lights are off. Ice protection off. Prop sync, that's off. Power levers. Oh, by the way, if you don't know where things are, the checklist is very good and it goes straight to the relevant sort of area in the cockpit. For instance, the rudder boost and electric trim. And oh my goodness me, I've left them on from my previous flight. I'm such a rubbish pilot. These are the kind of things that you realise you cannot be sloppy with an aircraft like this. I love it. Electric trim is definitely on because I've left it on. Cabin master, cabin lights, we're fine with that. Cabin accessories, smoking signs. Yeah, we don't like any smoking in my aircraft, thank you. Vent blower. You see, it goes straight to the correct area, which I love. Cabin temperature as desired. In fact, you know what? For the sake of messing around too much, I'm going to leave that on auto mode there. Temperature mode off. Bleed valves need to be in VARJO off, which they are. And yeah, folks, what I'll do, because you get the idea here, it's amazing. Including, by the way, the co-pilot circuit breakers are also modelled. Look at that. And the relevant sounds, because that's one thing I haven't mentioned, is some of the audio has been enhanced. This is great. Look at that. All of them work and sound fantastic. Lighting, master as required. Actually, what is that? Oh, yes, of course, you idiot. Yeah, we'll click that on as well. Windshield wipers are off. We might need them later on. I think we're about there, folks. Right, battery master. This is where things get interesting. So we're going to start the aircraft up here. And as I say, you'll notice how some of the audio is very different and very much like the real thing, which is very, very cool indeed. So we could check the volts, which is over here. Battery volts, which are looking good. See, all this works. That's the thing as well. Every single switch that you will find in a real King Air will work in this. I can't tell you how long it takes to code that kind of complexity. Pretty amazing. Right, annunciator test. They all work now. Fantastic. And you can even change the brightness as well. That's fine. We don't need to do that. Fuel quantity is checked. We've got plenty of fuel. We're only about half an hour away from Leeds, actually, in a King Air from here. Right, I think we're ready for engine start. So, a beacon light can come on here. And just in case you're wondering, folks, for this particular review, I'm not going to be in VR because you need to see all the details. But let me tell you, in VR with the spatial audio, it is a treat. It really is a treat. And the manual for this thing is 95 pages long, fantastically written. And I would recommend that when the boss is out, print it off at work and enjoy it at your leisure, because it's actually a really interesting read. Not that I've read it all. I've probably read about half of it so far. So beacon light is on, propeller area is clear. Gen ties, they should be, which are down here, folks. They should be in the closed position. We're ready for an engine start. And straight away, I feel very different than if I'd be starting the engine on a default King Air, because this is the real deal. It feels like I'm starting a real aircraft. Okay, so here we go. So as that starts up here, we're going to monitor the NG and make sure... Hang on, sorry guys. I'm not used to the views here in 2D mode. We're already at 12%. So we can move the condition lever to the low idle position. Check in the ITT, because you could get a hot start or a hung start. In fact, there's a bit of a spike there with the ITT. But it's coming down again, thank God. See, I'm feeling nervous about it. I'm watching the dials like I've never done before. It's a different way of thinking. Oil temperatures and pressures are looking good. So that is a relief. And right starter can go off now. We're now going to reset the right generator, and then that will click to on. The right DC generator annunciator light should now be off. Yep, that's all good. We're now checking to see if the right gen load is within limits, 10 to 50%, and the volts are at 28 volts, which is correct there. That is fantastic, isn't it, guys? Honestly, such an amazing amount of detail. It's just wonderful. At this point, we now can take the condition lever to high idle. And we can do all that again for the left engine. A bit different, isn't it, folks, from your default King Air, and even your payware King Airs as well. I don't really know of anyone who's produced a King Air specifically for Microsoft Flight Simulator at this point with this level of detail. So, left starter is now activated. And it's the same thing once again, checking the NG for 12%. And then we're going to move the condition lever to the low idle position. Checking the ITT. When it spikes like that, it makes me so nervous. I can't imagine what a hung start or hot start's going to be like in this thing. I'm not sure if I want to know, to be honest. Again, oil temps and pressures are within limits. And we're at 50% NG. We can take the starter off again. There we go. And these things will become second nature after a while. And it is a huge pleasure when you learn an aircraft properly. Let me tell you that. Left oil and fuel annunciator lights should be off. And they are. Thank goodness for that. Fantastic. And in fact, I actually put the right condition lever to low idle too soon there. But I think we got away with it. And now we can come to the left generator, reset, and back to on. Wowzers. All the time making sure that the annunciator panel isn't giving us any warnings that we should be concerned about. Again, checking the load, as we did before with the left gen. Volts and amps are looking good. Battery is still positive. And it looks like we've got a bit of a shower going through the airport at the moment. We're now going to... in fact, I'll just show you this actually before we move on. There's an external power checklist. Also, if the starter does not disengage, we've got sort of a protocol there. And look at this, hot or hung start. Oh my goodness, that's brilliant. That is what we want. Anyway, I'm getting too excited again, folks, sorry. Fire detection test, we can cycle through that. That is all modelled. That's down here. In fact, actually, yeah, you need to see this light here. Look at that. I do wonder if there should be sort of an audio sort of alarm there. But what do I know? I've never flown a King Air in real life, funny enough. Fire annunciators. Observe. Oh, right, yeah, we've just done that. That's fine. Gear handle light. See, even that is modelled. And it's down here, I think. There it is there, look. That is fantastic. Wow. Stall warning test. Where is that? I've no idea where that is, actually. Oh, it's here. Okay. Yep. Hopefully you won't hear that in flight. Gen ties now need to go to the open position, which is that there. CTR volts, which stands for current transfer... Oh, I can't remember. What is it? Current transfer ratio, I think. I might be wrong, but that's good. Bus sense, that is down here. That needs to be tested. So there's a lot of tests and checks. Feel free to not do any of this, folks, and then see if things go wrong. You know, I suppose really, I don't want to do everything perfectly, because it'd be quite fun if we do something wrong on this flight and then you'd be able to see it in action. But but really, that's probably a bad idea, because I want to look after this aircraft. It makes you feel that way. Lead air valves should be open. And I'm guessing the next one will be checking the pneumatic pressure. Yep, that is in the green. Temperature mode to auto. I did already do that before. Duct temperature. No idea what that is, but it's down here. Okay, that's fine. Vent blower to auto. That's this guy here. Electric heater as required. Yeah, let's put a bit of heating on. And by the way, the climate inside the aircraft is also simulated and modelled. Gyro suction is in the green. Yes, it is. And AC inverters, they're over here on the left-hand side. They can be switched on as well. AC bus annunciators should now be... Look at that. That's a nice feeling, actually, when there's no red warnings. That's always a good sign. Although I think, have I need to put that back to the off position, which is there, I think. There we go. It's now time to turn on the avionics master, but make sure that the weather radar is off first, because you don't want to fry the ground crew. That would be bad. Listen to this sound, okay, folks? This is a nice touch. You won't hear this in the default burr, but you will definitely hear it in the real thing as we turn on the avionics power. Ready? That little beep. I love that. That beep is exactly like the real thing. It's taken from the real King Air. Am I just being sad, folks? Well, you know what? I'm an aviation geek, and this sort of thing matters. Right, anyway, folks, just for the interest of time, I'm going to crack on with the few items I have got. And what I'll do is, I'll meet you as we start taxiing to the end of the runway. And at that point, we will be using the AIM-XY head tracker, since, of course, in VR, you won't be able to see all these things so clearly. See you in a few moments, guys. Actually, folks, I did lie, because I'm back again. As I'm just doing the few items on here, just listen to this. When I put the engine anti-ice, which is basically like an inertial separator that you'd find in, say, a TBM. Listen to this. Can you hear that? That is incredible. You can even hear the inertial separator doing its thing. That is most definitely a new sound. So it's those details, of course, that I absolutely love. Anyway, I promise you now, I'll meet you at the end of the taxiway. See you in a minute. So welcome back. We're now holding short of the runway, and you may notice the cockpit looks a bit different. And that is because I am now using the free GTN 750 mod. This is very cool. You can actually change on the fly, pardon the pun, the avionics layout that you so desire, and that is a very nice touch there. I know a lot of payware aircraft are going that route now, and I love it. But because I'm greedy, I also want the GNS 530 as well as my 750 GTN display and the weather radar display as well, because this thing down here does lots of other things. Look at that, and I'll show you all of that as we get en route. So let's just make sure that our transponder is altitude reporting. Tell you what we'll do, we'll go into GPS mode here, and I think we're about ready to go, folks. I will just check the checklist because we have a run-up checklist as well, which is here. Nose wheel is centered, parking brake is set, electric trim, actuate, that is here, that's all fine. Pitch trim wheel, takeoff position. Actually, this is when my Cytec trim wheel needs to wake up, there it is. And electric trim cycle. Not quite sure what to do here. Do I switch it on, off and on? I'm guessing, I don't know. Pitch trim observe. That's all good. Yaw damper engaged. Yes, very important. Rudder boost, cycle. That's all fine. We're going to not bother with that. Autopilot master engage, observe. Oh, okay. So that's interesting. So you actually test the autopilot first. So I'll do that on my yoke. That looks like it's working. Oh, wow. Okay, that's again a different sound effect. Look at all this. This is just the run-up checklist. Fantastic. As I say, folks, I'm trying to make this video not too long, but you can understand this is pretty amazing. Anti-ice actuators are now standby. That's correct, I think. Yep. Engine anti-ice is already on. I showed you that before. Anti-ice actuators. Oh, now back to main again. Engine anti-ice as required. I think we might need some of that, to be honest, but we'll see how we get on. But we're definitely going to punch through some of that cloud layer. Power levers are idle. Auto ignition. That needs to be armed. Right, folks, we're now sat on the runway, and this is the easy bit in my opinion. Here we go. But I'm the first to admit and happy to say that this is quite an overwhelming experience. Wow, feel that torque on takeoff there. And let's get airborne. Notice I'm quite almost being a bit of a, what's the word? A bit of a scaredy cat when it comes to pushing the torque too high. We are airborne. Positive rate of climb, gear up. Now the weather today, as you can see, is rather interesting indeed. But look at all this. This is all new to me, and seeing all these instruments doing their thing. The refresh rate I've noticed as well. What I mean by that is the smoothness of the movement of the gauges are the smoothest I've seen actually. That is, dare I say, X-Plane smooth, because I always thought that X-Plane, you know, 10, 11 and 12, the gauges in that sim move far smoother than in any of Microsoft Flight Sim releases. But this feels very good indeed. Okay, what we'll do now is we'll bang on the autopilot. Nav mode selected. Actually, we'll go IAS mode, which means that the aircraft will now pitch for the correct speed. Very much like a flight level change. Now, I don't know how you feel about this, but when the sim was first released, one of the aircraft I was really excited about trying the most was actually the King Air. But I soon realised that the default King Air left very much to the imagination. It wasn't very good at all. And that's not just because it was glass cockpit, just most of the systems did not work. Everything was inoperable. I hate it when you kind of look down and look at the, in fact my strobe should be on, naughty. But you look down at all these switches, and in the default King Air, none of this stuff could work at all. And I found that quite frustrating. In fact, the TBM 900 was quite clearly one of the better aircraft. So it's really great to be able to finally enjoy the King Air as it should have been from the very beginning. Now, in case you're wondering, I am using Sim Update 10, of course now. Ultra settings using a 10900K with an RTX 3090. I will be upgrading to a 4090 in the near future, so look out for those tests. Right, that means we're 1,000 to go. All looking very good. We're on our course. And we're about 12 nautical miles away from the Pole VOR station. And we're just heading over Yorkshire. Look at this. This sim. It's absolutely spectacular, isn't it? Especially when you've got everything pinned to the right. Wow. But anyway, whilst we're in the cruise now, and I'm just going to take the torque back a bit here. And the prop RPM, because it's making me nervous. Notice that I've just changed the weather display. Because now, this gives us the menus for the sort of condition of the aircraft, I guess. In this case, the engines are still at 100%, which is a relief. You can refuel the oxygen, reset all the failures, and if you click this button here, which is the log, you can actually set a global failure rate, which can be decreased and increased. You can also randomize or schedule a failure here. Random, that's quite cool. But for now, we'll keep things as they are. It will show you the active failures, or you can have detailed settings for failures. So that is brilliant, and I think over time they may even increase that, which will be great to see. And that's the thing, folks. I think the developer, and I've spoken to him briefly via email, I can really sense the passion for this product, and especially this in the Caravan. He is definitely one of those guys who loves steam gauges like me, actually, but also he wants that system depth, that feeling of consequences to your actions, as I've mentioned, and it really does bring about a different way of thinking about your flight sim. And if you're ready for that, or if you're, you know, up for embarking on a very adventurous journey, imagine flying this around the world, for instance. Making sure you do everything correctly. The feeling of reward would be immense. But yeah, the guy, Nick, massive congratulations. I'm so impressed with what he's done here. And I cannot imagine the hard work, determination that's gone into this, especially with all the updates that have come. You know, Microsoft Flight Simulator keeps changing all the time. And if you're changing the code as much as he is, I'd imagine that would be an absolute nightmare to keep on top of. But this does feel anything but a default aircraft. And all this for 28 quid. Not bad at all. Look at this, going through some cloud here, so better check, make sure we're not getting any icing. I think we're looking okay here. And what I'm going to do, folks, is I'm going to leave it there, and I will see you on our descent. Enjoy a few panoramic views of our sort of adventure here with the King Air. And I'll be checking all of the gauges like a hawk, like you should be. And all being well, we'll make it to Leeds Bradford in one piece. So folks, welcome back. We're now going to just get the ILS frequency dialed in just in case, which is 11090, I believe. Let me just check that actually. Yeah, 11090. That is for Leeds Bradford. And you can see here on our weather radar display, which is working a treat, there is plenty of weather out there. And it looks absolutely gorgeous. And it's one of the main reasons why I absolutely love this sim over anything else, quite honestly. So notice, folks, I'm not sure if you can see this, but as we're going through the showers, can you see the cockpit lighting and how it's changing? I see what they mean by this sort of 3D lighting effect. It looks absolutely fantastic. Yeah, that's very nice indeed. Anyway, I need to slow down here. And I was going to do my before landing checklist, but I'm running out of time. I've done some of it, as you can see here. Right, prop sync is off. So actually we can now go landing gear down. And she seems to be doing a very good job here, considering the weather. Look at the lighting there. That is gorgeous. I'm getting some warnings here, folks, but... Right, we're coming in a bit hot here. Second degree of flaps. Autopilot off. Let's see if we can fly her all the way down now. Wow, God, this it's quite windy. It's always windy at Leeds Bradford. I can even feel that the flight model is actually quite different. She feels more stable, actually. a lot less twitchy. Here we go. Nice and gentle. Bit long there. Oh, wow. Oh, we stopped very quickly there.
Beechcraft X-ray Golf Sierra, turn next taxiway.
For a minute there, I thought I had my parking brake on, but no, that was just the reversers. That's interesting. That's definitely changed. The real thing must stop that quickly. I don't know, but that seemed to stop very fast then. So there we are, folks. That is my first sort of, I guess, I don't want to call it review, but first impressions. Look at the King Air 350i by Black Square. What a marvel. I think they've done a fantastic job here. Please do let me know in the comments, what are your thoughts on this? And thank you so much for watching. As always, I do really appreciate it. But I am very impressed with what they've done here. It's all what's under the hood. That whole aircraft feels totally different. Very unique. From the cockpit lighting to the obvious things like the steam gauges. But look at those steam gauges. They are so beautifully done. Very well made. They look amazing in VR, by the way. And of course, all the electrical systems, oxygen system, the you know, pressurization system, the climate control, the engine dynamics, and where am I going? I'm getting too carried away here talking. Right, I think we'll just park here somewhere. And there we go. Marvellous. Absolutely marvellous. If I were to give this a rating, I think I'd give it quite a high score, actually. I think 8.5, 9 out of 10. Easily. I think the only things I would like to see from this add-on developer is a few more interactive elements. Perhaps an iPad would be nice. That's a personal preference for me. And options perhaps like chocks, tie downs perhaps. Maybe things like doors opening and closing. Just to add that extra bit of icing on the cake. But that's all the aesthetics kind of thing. But from a systems depth point of view, which is what this add-on's all about, I am so impressed. Thank you so much for watching, as always. I do really appreciate it. Please feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you again very soon. Bye-bye for now. Whew, epic. Right, now to shut down. That's going to take another half an hour.